Welcome to the WRAL Daily Download. I'm Luis Fernandez. We've been following along with changes to the DMV. WRAL has reported extensively on long wait times, new offices, a top-down effort to make the North Carolina Division of Motor Vehicles better. The most recent development, early morning hours are getting cut. Starting this week, the DMV will no longer offer extended early morning hours, opening at the standard 8 a.m. statewide. WRAL's Carly Haynes and Jaylin Jones sat down to talk through the changes and how they fit into the big picture when it comes to fixing the DMV.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jaylin Jones. I'm here with Carly Haynes. And first of all, Carly Haynes, how you doing today?
We're doing great. We are hanging in there. The sun is shining, and we're feeling good.
Doing great. Well, when I checked in with you earlier today, you had a couple stops to make, and today we're going to be talking about DMVs. So the big story, the big headline is they had extra hours. They opened up an hour early because if you are not familiar, North Carolina has chronic DMV issues, and they opened up an hour early trying to kill some of those wait times, get more people in. Now they're taking back that hour early because the funding has dried up to pay for that overtime. What are you looking into today with the DMV?
So specifically, the impact on demand that will come of that. So really since 2022, certain DMV offices and then eventually more started adding that extra hour. So they were open starting at 7 in the morning. And you think about with that hour, how long those wait times were, how many people were outside the North Carolina DMV. Yeah. Sometimes they bring lawn chairs out there just to wait for their appointment or for their walk-in. And so now there's one less hour in the day for those appointments or for those walk-ins. So, the question really is, what is that going to do to my ability to get my real ID or to get my driver's license?
Yeah, when I heard this stuff, my brain kind of exploded a little bit because people don't realize how much of a powder keg North Carolina is in terms of your DMV, because not only are we the capital, we have tons of people moving in. We have several universities with a lot of international students. Those take the longest because when I was in line myself, I like to be nosy and ask the workers and things like that. And then so you have new people moving in, you have tons of international students, and you have just regular folks that need regular services to do what they're going to go what they're going on. Have you talked to the DMV today, or do you plan to talk to them about this issue? What's going on?
Yeah. So, first of all, just it's so interesting when you were saying all of the people moving in and then just paired that with everybody who's already here needing to get updates. I know I moved from out of state and I was shocked at how difficult it was to get an appointment. And one of those reasons being at the time to get an appointment, you had to book 3 months out. And when you need a driver's license or you need to register your car, you can't wait that long, right? So there were some changes that the DMV implemented since that time, which was about 2.5 years ago when I was first getting my driver's license here. And so we did get in touch with them for some statements today. And one of the things that they said was, instead of having to book an appointment 3 months in advance, you now could do it a week in advance. Okay. And they said also it used to be that some people might only be able to get appointments for the first half of the day. The second half of the day was reserved for walk-ins. Well, now all throughout the day, you can get an appointment. Okay. And so they said based on that 7-day window, they can be more agile in terms of, if one area is seeing less demand than another area, they can shift appointments around for people and hopefully get them in the door and get them some help. So that was one of the ways that they said they're going to help with this demand of cutting back those extended hours. And then there were a few other changes that the DMV commissioner recently talked about at the end of last year related to a 5-year plan of trying to reduce those wait times down to 15 minutes by 2030.
This is a lot. There's a lot of goals here. There's a lot of actionable steps. This is not a very passive issue. There's a lot of people that are taking the steps to fix this issue. So we talked a little bit about the steps. You have a long-term 2030 plan. Short-term, they're adding additional appointment slots throughout the hour. Is there anything else that you saw that they're trying to do to fix this issue?
Right. So the the 5-year plan entails a few priorities. Paul Tyne, who's the DMV commissioner, said that includes expanding their online services. So is there anything that you can do online where you don't actually have to go into a physical DMV location?
Yeah.
Another one was modernizing their technology systems. I believe, at one point last year, we covered the impact of the DMV when their whole system shut down and what the impact that had on their wait times and their appointments. So, they want to make sure that those technology systems are up to date and less likely to fail. And then adding offices. What they found was, people were pretty far from their nearest DMV, and they wanted to make sure that people were at least within a 30-minute drive to their nearest location so that they could, get access, and then you wouldn't all be at the same DMV location all the time and building up the wait times from there. And the reason why they're cutting back the extended hour program, because I think that's a question that people might be wondering, is truly because of the funding. They ran out of federal funding. It dried up for what was allocated to them. So all of the priorities in the 5-year plan still entail some kind of funding that they need to make it happen. And, the DMV said they also hope to add extended hours potentially on Saturdays. Once again, that'll come down to funding, which will come down to the General Assembly. And we know there's a stalemate over a state budget right now. So there's a big question mark of whether the DMV will have the funding to actually make those priorities happen.
And I will clarify for the audience, this has been a bipartisan issue. This hasn't been both sides are trying to fix this, because I think truly this is not a political issue. This is an administrative issue. Because, if we can't apply, so if you're moving in from another state, you have roughly around 30 days that your out-of-state license expires because your new permanent residence is in North Carolina. To get that, if you can't get an appointment within those 30 days, how can you enforce the law? How can police officers do their jobs? How can, if you get a speeding ticket or get in an accident, how can there's a backfill of administrative issues that make this a very bipartisan issue. And now the politics side of this, with all of the things that they want to get funded, whether that may be for law enforcement or things like that, now that is caught up in the back end. Am I tracking that?
That's exactly right. I think everybody, wants a smoother experience at the DMV.
Yes.
But as it relates to the state budget, there are other priorities that might be on the table that, the House and Senate are currently debating. And so there is also the question of, is DMV funding going to be part of the state budget? And what are you going to be voting on that separately just so you can get that over the finish line so that something gets passed, even if other, remaining parts of the state budget aren't?
That would be ideal.
And so there are questions about, when could we actually see that money? How much? We're kind of tied up until then.
Well, is there anything else that you're hoping to figure out? Because I know you have some more interviews. You'll be covering this story maybe a little bit throughout the week. Is there anything else that you're looking forward to? Any sound that you might be able to get on this story?
Yeah, so on Wednesday, we are hoping to speak with the spokesperson for the North Carolina DMV. We specifically asked about the demand that they're going to see, if they think this cutback of the extended hours is really going to impact that. And then just in general, what happens if they don't get this funding, right? Like, I think there's that question. They have these big plans, this 5-year plan, and we're already starting to see some progress. I mean, back in October, the commissioner said that wait times dropped from 2 hours to 1 hour and 30 minutes, which is small but significant for people who are standing outside. So I think, are we moving in the right direction, and what needs to happen to make that?
Thank you to Carly and Jaylin for the conversation, and thank you for listening to the WRAL Daily Download and for making us part of your morning routine. Another great way to get WRAL news is the Morning Briefing newsletter. It's a daily email with Triangle news, events, and headlines to help you get ready for the day. Sign up at WRAL.com/newsletter.